Today was a weird week too in the NFL today. I think there was a lot of things we need to talk about, especially the games like the Cowboys versus the New Orleans Saints and the 49ers versus the Vikings. I really love seeing the Cowboys lose today, but the question stands, was that just because the New Orleans Saints were really, really good this year? Are they the dark horse that I think they are? Or is that just because the Cowboys are struggling right now? So let's talk about a few of the games that happened today and see what I think should be done with each team.
Oh, right, all right, all right. I wanted to start off with the game of the Buccaneers versus the Detroit Lions. This game was so fun to watch as a viewer. I think there was a lot of key takeaways in this game that we should look into. I think overall, this was more of a defensive battle. I think what Aiden Hutchinson did with today, with 4.5 sacks, was really good. And Jameis Williams, who went for 7 to 9 yards today, was also very good. But what it came down to is the Baker Mayfield show. I like what Baker Mayfield is doing right now. And in the first 2 weeks, he done a very good job. If he keeps going like this, I think he could easily get comeback player of the year. I just don't think he had ever had a good opportunity in Cleveland or that little short term with the Rams. So it's nice to see that Baker got paid and also playing very well for the Buccaneers. The system for him works very well for him. So I'm looking forward to seeing the future with him. But overall, like I said, this was a very defensive game. I don't think Jared Goff played a very
Well game, and I believe that he had no time in the pocket. I think Tampa Bay's D line played very well today, which caused them to get 2 interceptions today. And Amonte Brown doesn't look very healthy out there. He in the past 2 weeks only has less than 100 yards, and his most not targeted player out there for Jared Goff. So I'm curious on what the injury is going to be like for Amon St. Brown. Obviously, he's been playing through it, but obviously you can tell that he's been irritated by it. So, in my opinion, they should pull him out for week 3 so he can be safe and healthy for the rest of the season. I just think overall that player safety for 1 to 2 weeks is much better than getting that injury worse in week 8 or week 9, and then all of a sudden it's become an IR problem. So we'll see how that Detroit Lions go. I'm not too worried about them. They're a very good team. I think they're going to make it to the NFC Championship once again. Their D-line is always very good. Aiden Hutchinson is just an unbelievable edge rusher. So I'm not worried about them. But then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think Chris Godwin had a very, very good game. Going for over 100 yards, getting a touchdown, and even Mike Evans on the other side didn't have too much of a well game, but at the end of the day, Mike Evans is Mike Evans. He can come back in one game and all of a sudden get 100 yards. So I'm not too worried about that. Baker Mayfield show. They are a dark horse team, and I think the NFC South is going to be so good to watch because the New Orleans Saints are coming out running balls blazing. And I think Tampa Bay versus New Orleans is going to be a fun team to watch because they're playing at week 17. I don't see any problem whatsoever watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now because the last 1 to 2 years, it was kind of hard to watch them, and they had no QB with Jameis Winston as their quarterback. So it's nice to see Baker Mayfield in control of this team. It's nice to see that they are back in playoff contention. So it'll be fun to watch. Now, I really want to talk about this Vikings 49ers game here because there was a lot of things that happened in today's game. I want to quickly start off and talk about the Vikings defense who put a stop to Brock Purdy and the offense. I think that was a great way of thing. I think the D-line made sure to stay in the pocket to make sure there was no pass for Brock Purdy. But the biggest thing that came out of this game was injuries, with Nick Bosa going down on that collision with Justin Jefferson and George Kittle going down for a little bit and coming back, but with cramps. But I wanted to get started off with Minnesota Vikings. I have to give props to them because they were a team that I thought wasn't going to do so well, regardless of JJ McCarthy or not. But on week 1, I thought it was going to be a close game against the New York Giants, and I thought the Giants were going to keep it together, but no, it wasn't even a close game. Aaron Jones' running game is going crazy, and I think Sam Darnold looking like he's having the time of his life in Minnesota. And it's good to see, because I think Sam Darnold is in the situation as Baker Mayfield, and not having an opportunity to actually show his skills with the right team. So it's nice to see that. But the 49ers, it's kind of a haunting them back in 2021, where they're getting injuries again with Christian McCaffrey on IR for 4 to 6 weeks, George Kittle getting the cramps now, and then that scary collision between Nick Bosa and Justin Jefferson. Hoping both Bosa and Jefferson being okay. Both teams are already looking at a lengthy list of injuries already, and already having players in the IR. I think overall, and what made the biggest difference into the game was the Minnesota Vikings defense. I just don't think Brock Purdy played that well. It's not the type of Brock Purdy passes that we saw today, and they didn't let him pass in the pocket, which was the biggest difference, because Brock Purdy excels in the pocket and making sure that he has no place to pass to for Debo or Brandon Ayuk. So it'll be good to see, and the next upcoming games for the Minnesota Vikings is going to be interesting, because now they play the Texans, and then they have a hungry Packers team that is now looking for a W after losing it in week 1. So it'll be interesting to see how the Minnesota Vikings do for the next 2 weeks. Well, I'm not too worried about the San Francisco 49ers. I think this will be a very, very good test for Brock Purdy to see if he is worth getting paid for, especially when he has no Christian McCaffrey and having a couple players on the injured list now. So we'll see how that goes. I think Brandon Ayuk getting paid was a very good deal for them. So it'll be nice to see the Debo, Brandon Ayuk, and the Brock Purdy show for the next couple of weeks. So the San Francisco 49ers team is still well packed. So even one injury is not going to affect them too much. So we'll see next time. Now, the game I want to talk about the most, and the most shocking game of this week, was no other than the Cowboys against the New Orleans Saints. I truly believe the New Orleans Saints is a dark horse team that people should be wary about no matter what. I think their defense is very, very good. I think Derek Carr is taking it nice and easy, and it's nice to see. This is not the same Derek Carr that we've been noticing back in Oakland/Las Vegas. After having a couple of years in New Orleans, I think he's having the time of his life there, and I think he's going to have a career year. In those 2 games that he's played, getting 270-plus yards, touchdowns to Shaheed. I like the creativity. That's what's happening in New Orleans. I like seeing Alvin Kamara playing Alvin Kamara, and it's just really fun to watch. Now for the Cowboys, on the other hand. I feel like it's a game to be rubbed off, not as easily what they think. I believe that they have a problem with their defense. I think losing Dan Quinn was a bigger problem than what most people are expecting, and I think hiring the wrong person of Mike Zimmer was not the greatest choice for Jerry's world to choose from. I think another question was, how healthy is Jake Ferguson? Jake Ferguson didn't play today, and he's a big part of that offense that needs to be addressed. I think Shoemaker didn't do a bad job, but overall Jake Ferguson is a hard blow for them, because Jake Ferguson was the second target, and besides that, Dak had no one to play against. They were all over CeeDee, and they were all over Brandon Cooks. And overall, their offense was very easily read, and I think that's a problem with that. And having Jake Ferguson was the reason why Dak Prescott can become Dak Prescott. Now, I think on the other end of the football, another person is Deron Bland. I think they are missing Deron Bland. There is no more Stephon Gilmore on that team, and I think Trayvon Diggs does need to help as much as he can. So there's a lot of questions for Dallas Cowboys, and let's see if them boys can get it done. with that in mind, guys, what was the most interesting game this week for you guys? If you haven't already, please subscribe, leave a comment below, because I'm curious. I know there's a lot of things that could be improved on, and overall, I just would love to hear your thoughts on questions and what you guys think about it. I'll be doing my thoughts process on the Eagles and Falcons game tomorrow, and yeah, I hope you guys have fun tomorrow, and see you next time.